Hello everyone, this is Manoj from Lambda Test at here EuroSTAR 2023 at Lambda Test booth. We have a special guest today with us, Brijesh Deb.
Hi Manoj, how are you?
I'm very good, Brijesh. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Thank you for being here with us in the Lambda Test booth.
Yes, it's always a pleasure to meet you, and this is a nice place to meet you.
Absolutely. I'm in your land.
Close by,
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Brijesh. And yeah, as you rightly said, EuroSTAR is the place to be in to meet every community testers from all over the world, especially Indians. Being there in the world map everywhere. So I have a few questions from the community.
Sure.
As the community guy, you being yourself, and let's jump straight in, right? And the first question I have is around digital transformation, being the goal for a lot of companies in these days. Digital transformation, is much needed for every company because every company is a tech company right now. Speaking of digital transformation, the integral part I believe is the quality and the testing itself.
Absolutely.
So, do you think testing is being considered the center of digital transformation? How have you seen the enterprises evolve?
Well, in my honest opinion, it's been a hit and a miss kind of a case, and I'll tell you why I think like that. Okay, there are a lot of companies, so everybody wants to ride the digital transformation wave because it's the thing, and we are in the industrial revolution 4.0, industry 4.0, and the theme is of course digital transformation. So everybody wants to ride that wave. But then what is happening is not all companies get it right. And a lot of these companies, they think about testing at the very fag end of their journey. And that's where it is causing the failures and disasters, and the transformation does not yield the results that are expected out of it. However, those players who get it right understand that testing is an integral part of the whole journey, and they have to get on board the testing journey very early. It can't be left in too late. And that, in my opinion, is the real shift to. There is a lot of conversation around shift left, but before shift left happens in your projects, shift left needs to happen in your mind. And this choice of getting on the testing journey early in the whole digital transformation life cycle is the key to succeeding and is the real shift left, in my opinion.
Wonderful. That's an interesting perspective. And we spoke about being the whole journey, right? So, speaking of digital transformation as a goal, that's how we started. You see the upper management, really, the CxOs, specifically the chief digital officers and chief information officer, where the goal is more related, right? So, if you have to set one KPI for the upper management from a testing perspective, what that could be, which we can track religiously and make sure they get the importance of testing there.
Interesting. Okay, so when you look at it from that perspective, okay, um, it's very easy for people to say, oh, it should be a quality release. Okay, so from a KPI perspective, everyone needs to get to a standard definition or a common understanding of what that quality objective is.
Okay.
Okay, because quality means differently to different people. Okay, your perception of quality may be different from mine.
Absolutely.
But as an organization, if the CxOs don't define what quality means to them and then pass on the same shared vision to the rest of the organization, you will never get it right. Okay, because everybody will have a different perspective. You are out there to solve a problem, but how? But what does quality mean? Okay, so in my opinion, the KPI would be to actually, get to that standard definition of quality and then track if you are heading in that direction.
Okay.
For that tracking, of course, you can use whatever
yes.
metrics you want to,
Okay.
based on your context, of course. But then getting that definition right is the first objective, in my opinion.
Interesting opinion, Brijesh, because I was thinking about some metrics or KPI that you would come upon, but what you're actually saying is, forget about metrics, which will come in later part, but step back. And as we say, quality is everyone's responsibility. So Brijesh is saying, yeah, I mean, you should have a shared vision of what quality is from your end users, and then act upon that, and then afterward everything will fall in, right?
Yes, absolutely. See, Manoj, the thing is, within companies, within the same company, or within the same project, a lot of times we don't speak the same language. Okay. For example, if we use the word regression test, does everyone get the same meaning? Does everyone have a common understanding? Similarly, when you scale this up, and when you're talking about business objectives and quality goals, is everyone in the organization speaking the same language? Do we have a common understanding of the problem that we are trying to solve?
Okay.
And this ties down to a lot of things that I talk about. When people say root cause analysis, okay, oh, there is a bug in production, we need to do a root cause analysis. Instead of getting into a blame game, first question you should ask is, did we have a shared common understanding of the problem?
Yep.
And there you see that the definitions were not clear. Okay, you did not have a standard definition of done or definition of ready during your product journey, and that's where you feel. So for me, that is a bigger objective, is to standardize the quality goals or the objectives and your definitions right, and then you can bring in whatever metrics. Okay, you can bring in your processes, your metrics. If you go the other way around,
Yeah, there you go, folks. Can't get any better definition than that. Cool, Brijesh. We've been talking about quality testing. We have saw a lot of people doing automation and exploratory testing, manual testing, as they say. It's very controversial. But let's talk about the things that are not often spoken about, especially around. Some people say non-functional testing. Some people say cross-functional testing. I like to call as testing for architectural properties. So speaking of that, if you were to pick one of your favorite non-functional testing techniques, what that would be, and why it is important?
I have a bone to pick with people who coined these terminologies.
Okay.
Okay. I want somebody to come and explain to me why a non-functional test is called a non-functional test when you have to make sure that the application does what it is supposed to do to get that result of your non-functional test. For example, when we say performance test, so if you are testing the performance of a transaction, say for example, you are on a retail banking website and you are carrying out a transaction, okay, so and you want to measure the performance of that, you have to execute that functionality. So it is functional in nature,
Yes. Okay.
right? And yet you call it non-functional. What's non-functional about it? Can somebody explain to me? Okay, so that's the thing. Okay, but then, okay, whatever terminologies we can say, you also mentioned one of my favorite terms. The whole world knows non-functional manual testing.
Right.
I kind of get the whole world knows that I get irritated with that term.
Hope I didn't
And
irritate you.
and
I said
always,
so called.
Yeah, and I always ask, what's manual about testing?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
but then we can.
Different conversation, yes.
That's not even a conversation.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's leave that there.
Okay.
So what I want to talk about here is you asked me about my favorite aspect of the so-called non-functional test. We still use that terminology. Well, I have been a performance tester for quite some time, and I love performance testing.
Got it.
And I look at it from an engineering perspective, not just the testing perspective. Because, okay, you are measuring a response time, but why? What are you trying to do with it? What is your objective? So, if you have that mindset of engineering, that, okay, you are wanting to make your system more efficient. When you are thinking about efficiency and effectiveness, you are thinking like an engineer. So that's what engineering is.
Yeah.
And if you bring in performance in that, stop looking at it just from the testing perspective, because you're not just testing and getting some numbers. You're not done there. That's where your journey begins, with those numbers. So think about it from an engineering perspective. Think about performance engineering, and that is my favorite, so to speak, because it applies to a lot of other aspects as well, whether you call it site reliability engineering or chaos engineering or post-production tests, or you name it. Everywhere you need that performance perspective, right?
Okay.
It is a part of all these. So it is like that, it's like salt. Okay, so whatever food you cook, you need that for the taste,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I hope my analogy makes sense. Okay, so performance is everywhere. You have to consider. You will, when your apps don't load on time, you're like, oh, you just
Yeah.
chuck your phone or delete that app or do whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have to start thinking like that. Okay?
Yes.
And testing is not just about writing or executing a bunch of test cases or finding bugs.
Yep.
It's about thinking. It's
Yep.
about trying to make sure that the product is better.
Putting your thoughts at work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, how will the user feel when they start using this?
Yeah. User experience.
How do you feel when you get a product which is like,
Yeah.
You
Not
know?
so. Yeah.
so
Okay.
think from that perspective.
Interesting, Brijesh. I want to say, I think you started with performance, which really makes sense. And before I use the coined terms like non-functional, I also said my favorite term. I hope it makes sense in a way because would like to call it as testing for architectural purposes.
Oh yes. That's in my opinion one of the best interpretations of non-functional test because often as testers we are conditioned to think of a system like a black box. Okay, so we don't bother about what's going on underneath. Okay, so the architecture and the architectural changes that happen, uh, people tend to not get involved so much into it. But when you start getting involved, you start enjoying it more.
Absolutely.
So I love that definition.
Thank you for that. All right, let's slightly change tracks and talk about AI, which is
Wow,
I know you love that. So tell us, Brijesh, that's ChatGPT 4 as well, and there's a lot of applications. You see, there's a lot of startups using generative AI, and from according to you, what you have seen already, and what do you foresee as well from a testing perspective? Where does AI take us?
Very interesting question. Okay, so AI. Before I go to AI, I'll tell you something about me. Okay, I'm a technology skeptic. Okay, I don't adopt to any technology just by hearing about it. So when on November 30th, when OpenAI announced ChatGPT, and there was this buzz. Of course, I also got the notification. So this thing is not going to work. That was my first reaction.
Okay.
And just like with the other aspects of technology as well, my first reaction is always, I don't think it's going to work. And I tried playing around with it. I still feel that there is a lot of room for improvement. Okay, and I'm especially talking about ChatGPT. And unfortunately, in EU, BARD has not been released yet.
Okay.
Because
okay.
of the GDPR kind of thing.
Yeah,
I assume that. I don't know what else could be blocking it. But Google is yet to release BARD in this part of the world.
Okay.
So I haven't got my hands dirty there. But yeah, I have tried messing around with ChatGPT. It's an interesting idea. A generative AI or any form of AI is interesting. It can definitely help testers, but over reliance on that would be damaging.
Yeah.
You can't say, oh, I've got to write a bunch of Selenium tests. Let ChatGPT do that for me. That would be a disaster. Okay, I mean, first of all, ChatGPT will never get the context of your application.
Sure.
Okay, and if you are a true Selenium tester, and I use Selenium because Manoj is
Thank you
for
for
me the face of Selenium, as we may put it. So so it's very easy for testers to say, "Oh, ChatGPT can generate the code and do it," but it will never understand your context. So you cannot rely on those completely. They may give you some help, they may set a direction, but they will never give you the kind of output that you are looking for.
Okay.
And that's the difficult part. So you've got to still learn coding, understand the underlying architecture, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
Okay, understand what you are expecting from the application. Okay, understand what problem you are trying to solve, and then maybe get on and use AI to augment whatever you are doing. So I recently wrote an article as well about generative AI and using it. Use it like your ally. Don't over rely. Okay, that's all
That's
That's all.
rhyming. That's nice.
That's all. That's all I'm going to say about generative AI. But yeah, other forms of AI again, the same thing. I mean, they are helpful, yes, but do they do everything for us? Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Will they ever do everything for us? Never.
Never.
But use them. Be friends with them.
Okay.
Don't trust them.
Got it. I hope the same definition will work for your kid as well, because we've been discussing about. So Brijesh was interestingly sharing a story about, his son who's 5 years old was seeing a car where no one is driving, which is the Tesla's driverless car, and he said he had a tough time explaining. But I think the ally thing which you mentioned and those analogies will really help, I guess.
Yes.
And for everyone out there.
Yeah. Oh,
Explain AI like I'm 5. It's a good title too.
Yeah, he's super curious, my son, and it was a tough time explaining a driverless car to him. So,
Okay.
I'm still trying to figure out how the driverless car works. Okay, the AI part of it. I mean, we know the cameras and stuff,
Yep.
but then to explain to a 5-year-old, well, I'm not yet there, guys.
Cool. Okay. Cool, Brijesh. Let's change a little bit of track then, and let's talk about the community, right? And tell us a bit about the test chat.
The test chat.
The logo
Okay.
here. Yeah.
The test chat completed 3 years on the 6th of June.
Wow.
Yeah, we are 3 years old now. My other baby, I will call it that way. So we are a global community of more than 25,000 testers residing on Telegram groups primarily, where we, of course, as the name says, test chat. There's a lot of chat that goes on about testing. We talk about all the topics under the sun related to testing. Okay, and so there is a main chat group where people are constantly talking, asking questions, giving suggestions, debating, arguing, literally fighting. But then the ultimate goal is learning. And there is one basic rule that we follow is that there will be no judgments. Okay, so that people feel safe to talk about stuff, and there has been a lot of interaction on that. Then we also have a jobs corner which is focused on India jobs right now.
Nice.
But we are slowly trying to expand and see if we can get global jobs as well included there. Plus we have a presence on LinkedIn and YouTube. YouTube because we do podcasts with testers globally. We do AMAs with testers globally. We do short video bites with testers globally. Basically, the idea is to find your voice and help others find their voice as testers, and that is the main motto behind Test Chat.
Got it.
We have been talking to people from different companies, from different communities, at different conferences. We are partnered to at various events, trying to spread the word.
Absolutely.
Spread the goodness of testing.
Absolutely.
And help people understand that testing is much more valuable than it is assumed to be.
Awesome. Thanks for all the great work that you're doing to the community. And folks, if you have not subscribed or joined the test chat, I would highly recommend please join that. And almost towards the end of our conversation, last but not the least, Brijesh himself is a Lambda test Spartan, which I didn't make it up in the introduction. Apologies for that. But I made it as a question now so that we can talk a bit about it. So Brijesh, what's your experience of Lambda test Spartan and why someone should join that?
Well, Lambda test Spartan was, in my opinion, one of the best community initiatives that we have seen in the most recent days. Okay, it aligns perfectly with our thought process at the test chat. Okay, because it's about talking about testing. It's about spreading the goodness of testing that I just mentioned. Giving platform to testers to come and talk, to participate in meetups and conferences, and that reminds me of the TestMu conference that's coming up.
Yep.
Guys, if you haven't registered yet, you should. I'm advocating because I'm one of the reviewers at the conference, and I am a speaker from the previous edition. Phenomenal experience, global testers. And there is so much of knowledge that is shared, and it is, and so the Spartan's journey has been incredible.
Thank you.
It gives us a platform to share our knowledge, meet with fellow testers, exchange ideas,
Yeah.
thoughts, uh, sometimes debate, sometimes challenge each other and get new ideas.
True.
So it's a fun thing, Spartans. If you're not a part of the Spartans program yet, you should join as soon as possible.
That was so nice of you. Thank you, Brijesh. And I would like to thank my colleagues, Kavya and Sparsh, who made a lot of the Spartans' lives easier, onboarding. I'm sure the onboarding experience would have been nice as well.
Oh yes, I can clearly say that because the amount of trouble I have given Kavya and Spurs, they have still been very nice to me. So it's been a fun experience, guys. I mean, if you're not a part of the program, you should understand more. And I was just before the interview, I was talking about Lambda test itself, and Sahil was there.
Yeah.
And I asked Sahil to define Lambda test in one word. He says that's a tough one. I said okay, because I was trying to get my own definition right.
Okay.
So and it's a very interesting thing to put a sales guy on the spot. But anyways, he did quite well. He said, "Can I, instead of saying one, can I say three?" I said, "Okay." And he said test orchestration platform. Yeah, okay, that's more closer definition, and that ties very well with your first question on digital transformation.
Yeah.
Because when you talk about digital transformation and testing, what you need is a test orchestration platform,
Absolutely.
which allows you to deal with the challenges not only in the cloud but for on-premise applications as well. And if you want something, Lambda test is a solution for you.
Oh, thank you so much, Brijesh. That's not part of the plan, but you're so nice.
No,
of you
no.
to,
I mean,
share that.
it falls right in line
Yes.
with the conversation. So why not?
Thank you so much, Brijesh. Thanks for patiently answering our questions, and we hope to see you in the next edition of conference or anywhere we meet in the world.
Thank you, Manoj. It has been a pleasure talking to you. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. I'm a huge fan of your conference talks, okay, and your work with Selenium.
Thank you.
You are the face of open source contribution when it comes to Selenium, and it's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Thanks.
And,
Brijesh.
and
I'm
guys,
very
if
humbled.
you're not, if probably you don't know, we speak about other subjects too. For example, idlis. Okay, so that's
Yes, we do. We debated over where we can get the good idlis in Chennai.
yes, we've had that conversation.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Brijesh, and thank you, folks, for listening in patiently. And I hope this was insightful as ever. Brijesh is an excellent guy. If you're not following him, should please do on LinkedIn and subscribe to the TestMu channel. See you until next time. Take care. Bye.